Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for this webinar related to internet and gaming and how we can help you deal with your international student or even your own child if you think that they're spending a little bit too much time on that computer. I know it's difficult. So the first thing I want to show you is a brief survey that I usually like to give students when I first meet them. If I hear of students who are having issues with computers or online gaming, I give them this one-page survey and I ask them to fill it out to see what they consider is their use of the computer. And it's a couple of simple questions. You know, how many hours a week do you use the internet? How aware are your parents or guardians of what you are doing when you're online? And then I've got some answers to each of these questions, the qualifying answers. How often do you chat online? So you might need to clarify that if it's texting or on the computer. Have you given out personal information such as your name, your age, your location? And I asked them to circle these answers. So this is quite telling when you just give them this one-page survey to have them start talking to you a little bit about what they're doing online. And then how honest do you feel people are about their identity? So that's related to other people. And sometimes kids, any age, can be quite naive about how other people are online. So it's a good thing to do this quick survey with them. Have you ever been bullied online? Have you ever looked at pornography or seen it? I know today there can be a lot of pop-ups and a lot of distractions. So you could be looking at something completely different and something like a pornographic pop-up can come up at you. So it's very easy to view online completely. Have you ever used drugs or alcohol because of something you read or learned about online? And have you ever posted a picture of yourself online? And again, that will get you into the discussion of if posting a picture to Instagram is considered online. Well, yes, it is. So they need to be careful about it. Another question I like to ask the kids is, do you feel it's okay to be rude to somebody on the internet because you don't know them? And how safe do you think it is to release information about where you go to school? And it's really quite surprising how much the kids can give away in a conversation online without realizing it. So they get lured into a false sense of security. And do you think it's safe to meet someone that you've only ever met online? And how many online accounts do you have? This is a really important one because some kids can have multiple email accounts. Some are hidden from their parents. And then how many passwords do you have? Are you good at creating passwords? And that's for security. So any kind of harassing behavior is something threatening or disturbing, and any kind of harassment, whether it's online or on text, is considered bad through email. So I like to go through that information with the students when I give them this quick survey. Have you ever been harassed online? Has anyone ever pretended to be you? Have you ever been excluded from an online group? So even exclusion from a group or exclusion from a discussion can be considered bullying. And this is important to get that point across to your student. Would you report the cyberbullying, or who would you know who to go to? So that's the end of that quick survey. And sometimes I ask them, why would you not report cyberbullying? And these were some of the answers that I got in the past. I don't think somebody might believe me. I might get in trouble myself because I was part of it. I didn't want to be bullied back. And then I was afraid my parents might restrict my access. That's a really big reason for kids not to report cyberbullying or their behavior online. Other kids could make fun of me. So once you go through that survey, I think it's important to kind of get talking about those issues and open the communication. So that survey, I can email you if you need it. My email will be at the end of the webinar. And I just wanted to point out that, computer gaming is addictive. And the reasons are, it's a fantasy game environment. Usually you're playing in some sort of group. So there's other people depending on you, and it's a fun group environment. And there's always some kind of reward mechanism that escalates. So the more you do and the more you win, the better you get into the game. So that's why it's so attractive. What are the solutions? Good Lord. Loads of ideas from different families. Control the hours of use. turn off the internet if you have to. Bribery always works. Do not allow students to friend people that they don't know. Make sure you go in, and if they're on the computer game, say, who's that friend? Who's that friend? Show me your chat list. Let me see who you're chatting to. How do you know who that ID belongs to? And if you find your kids in that game have friend IDs on that game and they don't know who they are, make them delete that friend ID immediately right in front of you. Delete that user. Don't connect with that person if you don't know who it is. Maybe put the computer in a common area where you can see what they're doing. And try and offer other activities. You know, if you're all going for a hike or a walk outside or something like that, maybe it isn't so attractive. This is a good one here I found with one family. They had the chore list, and only if the chore list was done would the kids get today's Wi-Fi password. And if you're not sure how to set your Wi-Fi password, definitely figure that out, because that's a very useful thing to have, to be able to update that password regularly so that the kids know that they've to come and ask for it, that there's some control there. You know, some kids will tell you the positive effects of computer gaming. Absolutely. Hand-eye coordination, problem solving, advancing your logical process thought planning, resource management, logistics, you know, developing strategy, pattern recognition. These are all the great reasons why we get involved in computer games and why kids want to do it. And certainly, you know, my kids can be very well behaved if they're saving up for a computer game. That's always attractive at this house. But the negative effects are there too. You know, research has shown that kids can be more aggressive, you know, socially isolated. And we see that a lot, even with Netflix. Kids will go in and watch TV on their own. Games are typically very, very sexist. They teach vengeance and aggression. Negotiations tend not to be in the solution of a game. And then games can really confuse fantasy and reality. We definitely see that. It can certainly affect the students' dopamine effect and the attention span that they have. So the dopamine effect is that engagement factor, or that light up effect that kids get in the brain. So it's harder for teachers to do that in a classroom and engage the students when they're so used to getting the dopamine effect from the computer game. And of course, other bad issues with computer gaming is the obesity, our posture changes, and then, you know, I see my kids tensing up a lot when they're gaming and jumping up and down and things like that. So bad language is always there, and generally it's an addicting hobby. So by all means, you know, talk about these issues with your students in your house and explain it to them. So I always, you know, check with the kids, protect yourself, make sure you've got your password set. Limit your online friends to who you actually know. Set up those restrictions on the privacy restrictions on the game. All games have them, and most games have a level of violence that you can set, so you don't see as much blood and gore. So see if that can be toned down a little bit on those games. And if they are interested in buying a new game, go online, read the reviews, and see what that game is about. And there's the 3 C's: inappropriate conduct, contact, and content. I like to keep those 3 C's up, and important talking about that with the kids. So, you know, talk with the kids early on. And what I mean by that is, you know, the first couple of days you meet your host family kid or your own kids, talk early and always initiate the conversations. Be supportive and patient. And you know, if they are playing a good game, that's something that you don't mind them playing with, you know, get involved, maybe sit and watch it for a little bit, go in there, maybe at least once a week and just kind of sit beside them and say, oh, where are you in the game? Show some interest. So, so that you know, if the only time you're talking to them about the games is to criticize it, that might not be a great strategy, but show some interest and kind of help be there with them. You know, limit the time that they're on it for sure, definitely. And when we're talking about socializing online, we're talking about Instagram and Snapchat, WhatsApp, all of those communication apps. Remind the kids that once they post something, they cannot take it back, that they should always be careful about their privacy and avoid talking about sex online and avoid group messaging. And they shouldn't forward pictures that are not theirs. They absolutely can't do that. I like to talk to the kids about, you know, issues with bullying. What would you do if you were bullying? How to recognize the signs of cyberbullying and how to talk to their friends who may have experienced it. They should definitely block or delete the bully immediately. So that's really important too. Any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help you with anything you need. And that questionnaire that we went through at the very beginning, I'll happily send you that PDF. Just shoot me an email, Madeleine@eduboston.com. Thank you for listening.